We're reviewing Craven, right?
Dune first.
Oh, the movies, right?
Dune show first.
Steven, why did you leave?
You've watched all of them now. You kind of did a little binge.
I had to. I wasn't going to watch this show, but unfortunately, Steven had to go back to the motherland.
We're going to talk about episode 4 of Dune Prophecy. What did you think?
I think it wasn't the worst episode, but it wasn't a great episode.
What was your favorite episode?
3. I think yeah.
So episode 4, basically it starts with everyone having a vision, and then we go into like a little bit of a courtroom drama.
Yeah.
It's still definitely trying to be Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I'm getting such powerful Game of Thrones vibes from this.
What I'm finding really funny about this show is that when the Star Wars prequels came out, everyone was like, no one wants to hear about the Galactic Senate. No one wants politics in space. That's all this show is for like half of it. They're just like, by the way. And they've continued the trend of not explaining enough, but also spending the whole time expositing. I didn't really like this episode. I think I liked it in isolation.
There were parts of it that were, I was like, this is interesting.
Like the courtroom drama, I was like, oh yeah, everyone's acting, there's drama, there's tension. It's like, oh, we know that this is supposed to happen. We know that the bot is supposed to blow everyone up. But then he pulls it out and ruins Valya's plan, because Valya's plan is to basically blow up half the Landsrad.
Yeah. She's like, no, let the terrorism go ahead. I'm going to stop the terrorism.
Well, she pretty much made the terrorism.
I'm going to be the hero. Yeah,
she CIA'd everyone.
Yeah, that's what this show does well. It shows how well the Bene Gesserit has like their fingers in everything, because you're like, at first you're like, okay, they think they control everything. Oh, okay. And then you see them with their dukes and stuff. It's like, oh, they do control most things. And then you see like the insurrectionist bar girl is actually a secret Bene Gesserit. And you're like, oh my God, they are. Like, that's what this show does well. What I'm like, that's pretty fun. But I think especially in this episode, they just throw so much at you, and I know some idiot in the comment section is going to be like, too slow for you, baby.
Yeah, it's too quick and too slow at the same time, because it's exposition without saying anything. Like, because even though half this episode hinges on the Landsrad being blown up and killed, and like a bunch of the houses, I don't think they ever explain that the Landsrad is basically the Senate. That never comes up, because we don't know any Atreides in there. We only know our Kieran Atreides. Like we don't see his dad or anything. Like, we don't know if there's any...
Is he the only Atreides at the moment?
We don't know. They killed a bunch of them, but his dad must exist.
Was he the curly hair boy, by the way? Okay.
No, he'd be too old.
I was just checking.
So he would be that guy's son.
Maybe.
But they haven't brought it up, which is why it was so strange to chuck that third episode in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't really know what the Landsrad are. I don't know if you'd be able to pick it up from clues, because I already knew what they were, because Steven explained it.
Okay.
Like before this episode.
Yeah.
But I think they just kind of keep saying Landsrad every now and then, and he's like, oh, I'm going to do this. And then the other half of the episode hinges on you giving a Sam heck about the acolytes, and I don't.
Who are the least established characters with like, I don't know, it's like, you're supposed to love them because they're these like powerful women or like powerful figures in the universe in training. But for these people who have, I guess, voluntarily come to the school, they don't really show...
They don't want to be there.
They don't want to be there, and they're not showing, like, the gumption.
The work ethic.
Ethic.
They're not being Hermione's, where they're like, oh, I really want to get good at this.
Also, the show doesn't really explain how they work at all.
No.
It's like, they haven't...
Or what they're learning.
Like, for example, in this episode, they haven't explained, like, how truth sense works.
I mean, I don't think they have to for that, because it is... I think it would be confusing to explain.
Yes.
But we haven't seen them learn. They already knew truth sense, because in the first episode, the chick is like, hey, truth sense those. And then they all do it. So they just know.
But they haven't they haven't explained how any of this actually works.
And they're not bad at it. They're all good at it. So we don't have any like, what are they learning? Like, they're at this school for learning. We see them sitting around studying, but we don't know what they're studying.
Yeah.
So it's like, because they have no hardships, like within the first few episodes, it's just been them sitting around chatting to each other. So they're all nice enough people, and they all have their archetype. Like, yeah, we've got the crazy one that says this stuff. We've got the young, naive one. We've got the
one that's not confident in herself. We've got the teacher's pet, kind of.
Yeah, there's an archetype for each of them. So they have the base of a character, but because we only see them for a few minutes per episode, and then we go,
and they're not important enough. I barely care about Valya's sister. what's her nname? Tatiana?
Tula.
Tula. I barely care about Tula, and she's like the one we see a lot.
Yeah, and the kids they're not going to like take over. We don't know what they're going to do. And it's made especially worse by the fact there's 2 episodes left.
It's only 6 episodes.
6 episodes. Oh, didn't you know that?
No.
Oh, good.
But the show hasn't started yet.
Last week we were halfway through the show.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I think that's my biggest thing. In isolation, this story is pretty cool. Like, we have that courtroom drama being judge, jury, executioner, and Mark Strong being like, oh, okay, I guess this is going to make me look good. Mm-hmm. Obviously he's panicking at the start, but then he's like, this might actually work for me. We'll go with it. And I'm like, this is cool. But then I realize there's 2 episodes left. I'm like, what's the ending?
Yeah, so we need an episode for...
I don't even know what the next 2 episodes are going to be, because like I don't know the endpoint. So it's not like in Penguin where you're like, oh, he's going to take over the city. It's not like even House of the Dragon kind of just ended, but you felt like there should have been a battle. Like, you're like, okay, they're going to do this big battle, and then cut, so that next season we have some more drama. Whereas this show,
they're slow playing it a lot.
Into what?
I think they're really using this first season because they're like,
you reckon there's going to be multiple seasons?
Yeah, they're like, we can get a second season.
Ugh.
All right, so they go, we're going to use this. It doesn't have to be the best. We just need to establish characters, establish story, establish some motives loosely. And then the second season, we can do things at a better pace. But for this, I feel like it's only been like 2 or 3 days in universe.
If they are setting up for a second season, then they're treating this whole season like Act 1, which is stupid considering episode 3 kind of acted as Act 1.
Yeah.
So they did like 2 random episodes, cut back to the beginning, and then they have given us this episode, which accomplishes nothing for the story. Like, it doesn't get us anywhere. As it, like, during it, you're like, oh yeah, I'm engaged.
Of just this episode, or of all the episodes?
Yeah, okay. Just this episode. This episode didn't really need to happen because it starts with Valya being on the outside, with Emperor Carino being like, oh, we don't want you anymore. Desmond's like, oh, we don't want you anymore. And Valya's like, dang, I'm going to have to do something to get in their good graces. She just tries and fails. It's The Last Jedi. How Finn and Rose go on that whole adventure just for it to fail. And instead of feeling like a payoff, you're just like, I'm glad we wasted an hour. Like,
yeah,
thanks, guys. That's what this feels like, because she ends in the exact same position. Some of her pawns are dead, so I guess if anything, she's set slightly back. But Kieran doesn't get any comeuppance, and he's a character we care about. But he's exactly the same. Like, he had a plan that he would do at the last 5 minutes of every few episodes. Yeah. But that failed. So like,
and don't get me started on the daughter.
Yeah. She came out and said, hey, I'm
accusing you, Dad.
And then he was like, yeah, I did it. And they was like, oh, okay. No, like, there's no comeuppance.
Everything that she's been building up to, like wanting to get away from things, and then finally like confronting her father, the God Emperor of all of man. When they introduced him, I'm like, oh damn, okay.
Yeah, just on that point, it's kind of stupid that he just gets around a lot. Like, at least with the King of Westeros, it's hard to get places, but technology exists in this one, yet he's still kind of just hanging around.
Love seeing Robert Baratheon though.
Oh yeah, he's a good guy.
I'm like, hey, he's back.
He's just playing exactly himself. He's even coughing and spluttering.
You fool of a girl. And I'm like, hey.
Yeah, he's like basically dying like he was for half of the first season. So it's like, I'm glad he's here, but he's literally the same
making
character.
The 8. You ever make the 8, Jamie? Yeah, the daughter and like the son, I'm like, unlikable.
Did he say anything in this episode? He got up to leave at breakfast.
He got up to leave, and then he came down. He was going to come to the court, and then the dad was like, I'm so glad to finally have you here, after they were treating him like shit because he spread the secret.
Yes.
Or like was telling
he got banged
the family about
loose lips.
And then sit down, at the breakfast table. And then he comes to the courtroom, or before the courtroom, and the dad's like, I'm glad you finally came to one of these to be here for your old man. And then he's like, I just came to say good luck, and then goes to play bass guitar somewhere. And I'm like, come on, man. And then he didn't even show up with his sister.
Yep. To accuse dad. Like, he didn't back her up. So yeah, so he doesn't do anything. The wife does nothing again. Desmond is mysterious again. He doesn't develop. No one develops. I guess the only thing that develops is the Emperor cares more for Desmond in like an almost sexual kind of way. He's like, I will soothe your wounds.
They're showing, I think they're trying to be very smart about it, is how
Trying to be.
a Bene Gesserit or a truth sayer has replaced the need for like a wife's ear and opinion.
Yes.
In a court or like in a house or a kingdom, because the wife in like episode 1 or 2 is like, you used to come to me for these things and it works so much better, and he's like, I remember things differently. But then now you're seeing like she's like, feeding his ear a little bit, and they're working things out between them through like arguments, and then she's kind of the one who gets him to trust Ragnar.
Yes, but she's just replacing the truth seer with Ragnar, really.
Yeah.
Like Desmond's just going to be the new...
But by doing that, she's also implanted herself in there. So she's playing the Game of Thrones too.
Yeah. Although we know in 10,000 years the truth sayers are back and in charge of things. So whatever
but in
happens
like in a way bigger way, it's going to take them 10,000 years for them to come back into power and start like controlling things genetically, which is something they're trying to establish 10,000 years ago.
Valya doesn't matter at all in the grand scheme of things, apart from she created the voice.
Also, I thought that she would at least say, or Tula would say, fear is the mind killer, because that's such a big thing in Dune. And like literally they say it, I'm starting to read Dune, and it's like in that first like chapter where Paul's getting like tested, his mom and stuff says it to him like a bunch. This is a rule, and you think,
that's gonna be the end of season 1.
You think Tula, when she was like trying to calm the girls, would be like, control your fear, and I'm like, here it comes, and then she doesn't say it. And I'm like, give him something. I'm like, even though I hate shoehorny things, just to be like, get it, that would have worked a bit
Instead, you're getting nothing. You're not getting Arrakis. You're not getting anything June-y in this Dune.
I mean, we do. We get 10,000 years before Paul Atreides.
That's the only thing we get.
I'm like, yeah, I get it. You need to establish time, but you don't really.
What's funny is House of the Dragon starts exactly the same. It says like 300 years before Daenerys Targaryen.
Hate that.
It's just funny that it's the same network, HBO, doing the exact same thing again.
I'm reviewing this and watching this as someone who hasn't read everything and, sniffed every spice line of the Dune box set.
95% of viewers would not have read Dune.
Would not have read Dune or the History of Sandworms by frickin' Old Mate's Son or whatever. It shouldn't be made just for people who read the books. It should, yes, obviously include things so they can be like, I'm rewarded for reading the book. It should
add a layer of depth.
But it shouldn't be dependent on.
Yeah, which this show definitely feels like it is. I guess if you just want something to watch and like vibe out to it, maybe it would be good enough.
This is the Handmaid's Tale of the Dune universe.
It's a dumb time period, in my opinion, because the book, I'm pretty sure, is set before this. Like this is based after the book.
Which book is this based on?
The Sisterhood of Dune book.
Okay.
One of the Sun's books. 50% of fans say it's good, 50% of fans say it's bad. That book is at least set in a sensible time period, because that's what episode 3 seems to be. Like, it's like, building the universe of Dune. Whereas this show is just kind of randomly set where it's set. Something that would be interesting was how the Bene Gesserit built themselves into, and they actually put their fingers in all these pies, because it's basically the way a company does like they hire a third party to do a review of their books and be like, see, they're trustworthy. That's what they kind of pitch themselves as far as I can tell. They're like, hey, we have no affiliation with any house, so we'll tell the truth. And then they didn't realize they hired the same company to do everyone, and then that company was evil.
Yeah.
So it's like, that seems more interesting than the current time period where they already have all their fingers in pies. They're doing a genetic experiment that won't pay off for 10,000 years, and even then they're wrong. So why are we here?
Yeah.
This episode does not answer the question of why does this show exist? And I don't know if the end of the season will. And if you're right, and they're using this season as a setup because someone at HBO decided, sorry, you have to lose 2 episodes. Maybe it was 8 episodes and those 2 got moved to season 2 for time, money, who knows. But if they have been, then this is a completely nonsensical 6 episodes of why, and you shouldn't watch this, and you should wait till season 2. And then if season 2 is well reviewed, then you could do all of them at once.
This truly is the Halo season 1 of... I think I enjoyed the Halo TV show when I watched it very quickly before season 2.
Yeah.
I think
then season 2 became bullshit.
But I'm vibing with what you're saying. I think this definitely should have been the rise of the Bene Gesserit.
It should have been episode 3.
Even just be the story of young Valya.
Yeah. I think that's why we liked episode 3 so much, because it made sense as a story.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is these two girls' journey. Whereas at the moment, it's an ensemble cast. I'm seeing 10 minutes of like 40 people's lives at a time. And each of these acolytes make no sense. Go a little bit more in depth into what happens in the intro for me.
Oh, yeah.
Also, make sure you watch this on a good TV. If you're watching on an older TV, it will look black.
Pump your brightness.
It'll look. It's the Long Night episode of Game of Thrones is the start of this episode, unless you have a good TV.
So, look, I don't know the acolytes' names.
No one does.
So, yeah, all the acolyte girls are having the same nightmare of this big dark hole that says subscribe to Bergenbeard.
If they subscribe in their dream, they subscribe in real life.
So one of the acolytes wakes up and, you know, she notices all the other acolytes are having a nightmare. It seems like they're all having the same nightmare. She goes out to the yard and she sees one of the other acolytes standing at the pond.
Where Girly necked herself.
And she's about to kill herself.
Was that real?
Yes, that was real.
Okay.
That was real. But she didn't know what she was doing because she was seeing the Dune worm. She was seeing Shai Hulud.
I don't think it's Shai Hulud. I think it's the God Emperor. So I think it's Leto the Second or whatever. I think it's Paul's son that turns into a big worm.
Big E? Is it Big E?
They call him the Big E.
There's someone called Big E.
Notorious E.
I just saw like, who would be stronger, this thing or Big E from Dune? And people are like, Big E, man. And I'm like, I have no context for this.
I think that is the God King worm, and because he has blue eyes, and I'm pretty sure when they're doing their big scribbles of the blackness, there's two blue eyes in the middle. So I'm pretty sure the God King worm from the fourth book is staring back through time from 10,000 years and making the Bene Gesserit crazy. I don't know why. Please tell me in the comments below and make sense of this for me, because I'm pretty sure that's what's happening, but I don't know why the big scary future worm is making these girls crazy. I don't know.
And every time it does a shot where you go inside the worm, you see like the machine god's eyes. Or
no, I think that's Paul. I think that's Paul's son's eyes. I think that's the big worm's eyes.
They look mechanized, and you hear like you hear a Decepticon. It's like, you hear Regirock from Pokemon go off every time. Yeah, so it's like, oh, that happens.
And then Tula doesn't believe them.
Yeah.
And then does believe them when they start doing their big scribbles. But then she doesn't really do anything about it. She goes to her not daughter, who is now reborn.
How come she doesn't believe them when she has the power to truth sense them?
Don't know. But then they try to truth sense her. So there's like, ooh.
Are you truth sensing me? And she's like, sorry.
Descent among the ranks.
Kick her out of the fucking school, dude. This is a religion.
You should have nothing to
crucify
hide.
her. But also, you should be able to block truth sense if you're a truth sensor.
I think she can.
But she just like didn't.
She just believes what she's saying, which is how you get around it. I think is the key.
It's like a lie detector.
Yeah. If you're an insane person, you won't know. So
the ending of the show shows something that could potentially be massive for the Dune universe.
What happens?
Putting it in film. Both Tula and Valya's favorite acolytes are very special.
The only ones we know.
Yeah, so Valya's acolyte is like some kind of changeling.
Oh, she's the changeling, yeah.
So she can not only turn into somebody, your dead body like kind of goes into them and then you can have conversations with them.
I think she just breaks all her bones and changes her face.
Then do you think she was just using that to help Valya just kind of recenter herself?
Yes. I think it was kind of a, I'm with you, we're doing the right thing.
But why did she turn in? Is that just to...
Okay. Again, it's very Game of Thrones when they're like, look at this creepy person with magic powers.
Yeah. So, and then you see Tula's acolyte.
Oh, the child.
The child.
Her not daughter,
She finally wakes up from the pod and she either is fully Dunified.
She is twice born.
She's twice born, but is she an AI? Is she just have like the spice eyes?
I think she's got like the same thing that Desmond has, where it's like she can maybe see into the future and also is somehow a little omnipotent.
She's a Reverend Mother, just like Valya is, but I guess she's super Reverend Mother.
Because she's spicified.
Because she's spicified.
They also have still never explained what spice does in the show.
It opens your mind.
So there's definitely going to be some people that have just stopped watching because they're like, the fuck is happening?
Yeah, it's like the same thing that they're snorting and getting high is the same thing that... Well, it's a variant of when the like rebels are like, oh, the same thing we're fighting for is the same thing that these guys are getting like their rocks off with. The guy who gets dragged into the court says that.
Oh, the only other thing that happens is Valya ends up with a bit of Desmond's blood, which he kind of semi-gives her on purpose.
She gets it on like a little cloth.
Yeah, he puts blood in front of her because his powers, when he melts people, it damages him a little bit. So she gets his blood. So something is going to happen. She's going to look up his genetic heritage, I assume.
Yes, yes. I think she actually says that.
Yeah, to her girl. And her nephew is now in charge of the Harkonnen family, and she's going to be their truthsayer. And that's kind of all. This episode didn't really have to exist, to be honest.
Do you think it was 100% necessary for Valya to be a Harkonnen?
It's a name we know.
It's a name we know. What was your reaction when you first heard?
I was like, that makes sense. That's one of the 2 names I know.
Yeah.
3, I guess, if you include Carino. But yeah, so it's the 3 main names from the Dune franchise that just happened to be 10,000 years before doing different things. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I don't know anyone else's last names apart from those 3. Like, no one else's last names matter enough for them to even be brought up or referenced. It's not like, again, always bringing up Game of Thrones because that's what the show is trying to do. They would reference other names that will come in handy later. Like, you'd get the Tyrell household chucked out there, and then the boyfriend was a Tyrell, like Marjorie Tyrell. Like, these people would pop up. Whereas with this, they're not even bothering to say anyone because literally no one else matters apart from the ensemble cast that is the main characters for some reason.
Yeah. And in before somebody says, because we are referencing Game of Thrones quite a bit, before someone says, yeah, but this was the original Game of Thrones. I think it's written on the back of here maybe. But Game of Thrones was the first to put it into media. Game of Thrones was the Game of Thrones of its lifetime. Although in a book form, Game of Thrones could be similar to Dune because Game of Thrones adapted to visual media first. Now everything is a Game of Thrones clone. Even though original source material, it could have been a copy of. When we reference and say this is like Game of Thrones, yes, we know the books are probably, like Dune, but Game of Thrones did it first. Game of Thrones did it better.
And this is made by the same network. Like, they're literally just doing, oh, this worked. We'll do it again.
Fuck it, use the same sets too.
And they're doing it at the same time too. Like, House of the Dragon was 2 or 3 months ago. And now they're like, by the way, here's the same show again. Where we're covering the same thing. But yeah, I don't think this episode was needed. It does, like I said, doesn't answer my question of why. If the season finale pays everything off, then maybe it's worth a binge, and it'll probably be more enjoyable as a binge anyway, because the ends of the episodes don't really hook you to wait a week.
Yeah.
Like, it would hook me enough to be like, oh yeah, I'll start the next episode, but it hasn't given me anything that I'm like, I can't wait to find out what happens.
If this wasn't my non-paying job and I watched that first episode was a slog to get through. It was painful.
Yeah.
And then like it slowly won me over a bit. There's titties in the second episode. Episode 2 and 3 won me over a bit more. And then 4 is like slowing down a bit more.
But at that point, are you just...
But now I have to finish it.
Yeah, at that point, are you just in it? And you're like, well, I've already watched 4.
But it's interesting because I want to watch it with my partner. And I'm like, yeah, we'll watch the show together like after we watch Dune 1 and 2. And she's like, but you hate the show. And I'm like, yeah, but I think you'll...
You reckon?
I think...
You'll have to report back. I'd be interested to know if she actually cares.
But I didn't think she will care as much for the Dune movies as I did. Because I watched Dune 1 and 2 and I was like, like a blubbering mess.
Well, Stephen and Sarah started watching episode 1 together, and 20 minutes in, Sarah said, nope, and she just left. So Stephen has been soloing this show from now on.
Yeah.
And she loved Dune. So she's gone from loving Dune to watching 20 minutes and being like, fuck this
like
show,
Like I said,
man.
if it wasn't my job.
Yeah. But what do you guys think? Let us know below. If you do like it, who is your favorite character currently? Because no one's really given me anything. Like, no one's an underdog. Everyone kind of sucks. Episode 3, I like Tula because she killed a bunch of dudes, and that was pretty hard as fuck.